Previously on Gears.
Going through the times today, Schumacher was quickest. Jenson Button, the winner from last weekend. I think McLaren are going to be super fast. Rosberg third. Then Fernando Alonso fourth with Felipe Massa right behind him. But Fernando Alonso, Gary, couple of minutes left of the session, stopped on the side of the track at the end of the long straight. For his sake, he's got to hope that it's not going to be a engine change or gearbox change and impede himself with a penalty.
Yeah, let's hope not. We just have to wait and see, which engine it is and so forth that they were running in the car at the time. Remember, we saw Felipe Massa also last weekend at Spa, also losing the engine on the Friday after very little running. So let's hope for Fernando's sake that it's not going to hurt him too much.
Yeah, we haven't got any update on that as well. We'll get back to Lewis Hamilton. He was down in 6th. Kimi Raikkonen up there for Lotus. Sergio Perez, Webber, Maldonado for the first time this season getting one over Valtteri Bottas in the free practice sessions. Valtteri Bottas still a guy that I rate very, very highly. Not often that you see that, Gary. For most of the session, Bottas was ahead of him.
Yeah, look, Bottas is a quick driver, no doubt about it, and I think Maldonado, although he comes with that huge checkbook, trying to cement his place in their team. I mean, he hasn't been consistent enough, I don't think, in terms of results. Had the speed, got into far too many accidents. Last weekend was no different, so I think he really needs to put it all together on a regular basis there.
Yeah. Two drivers to watch out for. Jules Bianchi doing the services for Force India on the Friday morning as in place of Paul de Resta. And just looking at his time compared to Nico Hülkenberg, about half a second off the pace, so not bad from Jules Bianchi. And then Jerome D'Ambrosio, who's replacing Romain Grosjean this weekend in the Lotus Renault team because of the one race ban for Grosjean. A second off the pace of Kimi Raikkonen. You've got to say, not a bad effort, first free practice.
Not at all. I think got to keep it tidy, keep it on the road, and just get as much running as you can. Of course, seat time is a premium these days for these test drivers in Formula 1. And if you can qualify within half a second of Kimi or half a second slower, I think it will be a very, very good qualifying result for him.
Still early days, Gary. Times 125s. We're expecting these guys to get into the 120s, 121s as the track rubbers itself in. Weather predictions for the weekend look good in terms of hot and sunny.
Yeah, it does. It only rained when we were there. Otherwise, the Monza Grand Prix is generally held in good weather, and it's a nice way to end off the European season. But I hope that it does not rain this weekend. I think we'd like to see this championship really pick itself up with all the front contenders in it for once.
Before we move on to the Lewis Hamilton saga, the teams you got to watch out for this weekend, I got to say, I think it's going to be tough to beat McLaren.
Yeah, no, look, there's no doubt about that. I mean, they won at Hungary, which was a high downforce circuit. They won at Belgium last weekend, which was a low downforce circuit. They had that new wing on Jenson Button's car, and I think that was key. It gives them the straight line speed, but they don't lose anything in the twisty bits. And of course, yes, we know Monza is just all about getting down the straights fast, but all indications are that the McLaren is the car to beat.
Now, let's have a look at the Lewis Hamilton saga at the moment. If maybe you haven't kept up to speed, or you haven't been listening to the show maybe yesterday or the day before, perhaps you were, out of the loop, I don't know. On Wednesday night, Gary, on Absolute F1, towards the end of the show, we got the news in. Andrew Benson is the chief Formula 1 writer for the BBC F1 website. Andrew Benson broke the story with quotes from Eddie Jordan. Now, Eddie Jordan is a very colourful character for those who don't know. He used to own the Jordan Formula 1 team. He was the first man ever to sign Michael Schumacher. He's a hell of a nice guy. But he does come out with some colourful language, as well as some sort of throw in the air rumours from time to time. Now, just to let you know, before you sit there and dispel Eddie Jordan, because not everyone's a fan of Eddie Jordan, Eddie Jordan was the man who broke the news that Michael Schumacher was returning to Formula 1. And everyone said, oh, that's impossible.
With Mercedes-Benz.
With Mercedes-Benz. So, don't take it too lightly. And in Formula 1, it revolves on three things: money, fuel, and rumors. We know that. Okay. So the big rumor came out from Eddie Jordan is that Lewis Hamilton, Gary, is going to move from McLaren to Mercedes GP in 2013.
Look, you've just got to look at what happened, I think, in Belgium with the tweeting story from Lewis Hamilton. At the end of the day, no driver in Formula 1 would put any information out there that he's not supposed to put out there. I mean, Lewis Hamilton's grown up at McLaren. I think he knows the workings of McLaren better than probably any other driver ever has known the workings at McLaren. So I think by reading those tweets and seeing what he tweeted in terms of the data, it tells you that he was angry about something. He wasn't happy that Jenson Button had that new wing on the car.
Correct.
It was definitely quicker. For whatever reason, it landed up like that. And that's just, I think, a result of probably what's happening in the team. A lot of things are happening, obviously, that we don't know about. Jenson Button last year came in a lot of criticism from everybody, and yes, this year it has been better, but has had to sort of mold himself to how the McLaren organization want him to be. And I think probably choosing to live a different lifestyle now that he's hit the big time. I don't know. I don't believe he's happy at McLaren. I think the rumor is, I think it's more than a rumor. I think that there's a lot of truth in this. Eddie Jordan, remember, is in the scene. He's close to everybody in there. The Mercedes factory is just down the road from where his old place was. I think he can be seen as reliable here.
So let's put it into a sort of chronological order. The news breaks: Mercedes-Benz, Lewis Hamilton going to move to Mercedes-Benz. Thursday comes along. That's press conference day in Italy. Everyone's trying to get a word from Michael Schumacher, because they've got to find out now, if he goes to Mercedes, who's going to be dropped. Is Schumacher going to be dropped? Is Nico Rosberg going to be dropped? How's this going to work? So, yeah, carry on.
Rosberg has a contract for next year.
Correct.
Mercedes may not be happy about it, but he does have a contract for next year.
Yeah.
Michael Schumacher, we know, is out of contract at the end of the year. There's other talk now of Michael Schumacher getting a team role, so to speak, as he had at Ferrari, which, look, it's insignificant. Basically, it means he's thinking about retiring. However, we don't know. He says, look, in October, sometime he'll give us the answer. So we're here now. Let's see what happens. But yeah, I think Schumacher has not had the best of returns. It's been a tough 3 seasons for him. I think he's taken a lot of flack. You can say what you like. 7 times world champion, came back. We all thought he was going to go out there and win Grand Prix.
One podium.
That's all. The car won a world championship the year before. The team hasn't gone anywhere since its Brawn days. Does he really want to continue for another year? I don't know, and have the kind of luck and the drama that he's had going forward. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a very, very valid point. So Schumacher gets asked what's happening, where you going, what you're doing, and he's come out flatly, said thank you. In October, as Gary mentioned, that is when I will make my decision or let you know what I'm going to be doing. Lewis Hamilton gets asked, so where are you driving next year? And he comes out. Now, you don't know if it's a bit of gamesmanship, a little bit of PR, let's get everyone talking even more, etc., etc. Spoil the Ferrari weekend, the red weekend. Lewis Hamilton comes out and says, I don't know where I'm going to be driving next year. Okay, so that's what came out yesterday. Everyone is now trying to find information. I have an email from somebody who's very close to the team that has said to me, but I really am still skeptical, that says Lewis is going to Mercedes GP. But I must be honest, it's unconfirmed. It's just somebody very, very close to the team. There has been some new development, though, and a very sneaky comment that has come out from the Mercedes Grand Prix boss, and that, of course, is Ross Brawn. Now, for those who don't know, 2013, yes, we're the same spec as what we're running in 2012, but Gary, it all changes in 2014.
It certainly does. We go to the new new turbocharged era, another turbocharged era in Formula One. Of course, it's in aid of, I think, creating power with less emissions, and really Formula One looking at it going green. I mean, the figures, just to let you know quickly, they make the same sort of power with about 40% less fuel. So it's an exciting era. But the big thing is the development costs of those engines. Okay, now I think you need to be one of the big teams or big manufacturer in the sport to be able to develop your engine to the point where it's going to be quick from the onset. Now you've got Mercedes-Benz obviously developing an engine, you've got Renault developing an engine, and you've got Ferrari developing an engine.
That's it.
McLaren next year, for the first time in a very long time, have to actually pay Mercedes-Benz for the engines. Now, where are they going to go after that? I can't see McLaren being a team that is going to want to pay any manufacturer to use the engines. I mean, at the end of the day, it is McLaren. Okay, if they don't have the right engine in 2014, for whatever reason, or if they've got a customer engine versus the works engine, it may be a couple of horsepower down here and there. Now, there's of course a lot of development that's going to go on at the same time. Now, if you're a works team, you're going to make sure that your team has the right engine at the right time. So even if you find 5 horsepower going up to the Grand Prix, your works team is going to have the engine. Now, Adrian Newey's also come out a couple of weeks ago and said the new era is going to be about engines.
Correct.
That is what it's going to all be about who has the most power, the quickest, and can deliver it to the teams to perform.
Now, to go on from this is where it gets very, very sneaky. Ross Brawn comes out and he says that you cannot ignore the benefits of working, as Gary's explained, with a manufacturer team when Formula One switches to the new regulations in 2014. And the way that I read it is basically sitting and saying to Lewis, where do you want to be? Do you want to be there with McLaren, who will have to have a customer engine from us if they decide to stay with us, or do you want to be with the team that's actually developing the engine? They have more money to offer. McLaren sit there and say, you want to drive for McLaren, this is what we're going to pay you. They, in a way, sort of have a similar kind of grasp that Ferrari do. Ferrari can sit there and say, you want to drive for Ferrari, well, we're going to pay you 5 cents. You'll drive for Ferrari. McLaren must probably have to pay a little bit more than 5 cents. But they do have that sort of, well, McLaren is a prestigious team. Lewis has the option. Should I stay or should I go? Ross Brawn is dangling the carrot by saying, we're the ones who are going to have the proper engine and the development. You should come to us.
Yeah, and I think Lewis Hamilton is certainly looking at it. I think his management team is certainly looking at it. And let's be honest, it is always about money as well, you know, in this game. And I think, as you say, I think Mercedes-Benz would be prepared to write a check. Remember, they lose Schumacher at this point in their team's life. Now, who else do they put in there? They need one of the top 3 drivers, and without doubt, in my mind, it's Fernando Alonso, it's Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel. Of course, you know Sebastian Vettel staying at Red Bull. Alonso is going to see out his career at Ferrari. It wouldn't be a bad thing, and I think that actually may save Mercedes-Benz's long-term future in Formula One if they sign a person like Lewis Hamilton on it. And I think that's also why Ross Brawn is pushing to get Hamilton into the team.
Has to get it. The board at Mercedes-Benz are looking and saying, is this really the kind of development we want? If they now all of a sudden, they tried it with Schumacher and unfortunately it hasn't worked because they haven't given him the right car, and perhaps he is just a little bit slower.
Yes.
Let's be honest about that. The thing is, they've got Nico Rosberg, but he doesn't have the profile of Lewis Hamilton.
And he's not performing, Sasha.
No,
I think
exactly.
Schumacher is really trouncing Rosberg at the moment. Rosberg's the young hot shoe. He should be beating Schumacher easily on every day that he drives the car. It's not happening at all. They need a top driver in that team, and I think Lewis Hamilton is obviously, I think, the perfect fit for the team. You know, whether he's prepared to break away from this whole McLaren family that, he's, like, as I said, he's grown up in, that's another thing altogether. But I think a new challenge also needed for Lewis Hamilton. He is a quick driver.
Sure.
And remember, when you go back, take a little team like Toro Rosso. When Sebastian Vettel joined the team went from really at the back of the grid to the midfield to actually winning a Grand Prix at Monza, which we spoke about just now. The same thing could happen at Mercedes-Benz. Put a top-line driver in there, your development curve shortens, everything gets going at high speed again. They need a guy like Hamilton.
I think it's a very, very good point. Final thing on this, you never know. Schumacher may have a management role at Mercedes, or he might go back to Ferrari just for 1 season.
At the next intersection, turn on Gears with Sasha Martinengo. Weekdays from 12 to 2 p.m. Central African Time.